Are you guys ready for a little Pac-12 football? I know I am. As an analyst in the Pac-12, I am looking forward to seeing them get back on the field. Finally, I've been watching college football across the nation, and I've been jealous. Coming up, I'm going to start my review of the Pac-12 in the North, and we're starting right at home with Cal. Hey everybody, welcome to Elite Athletes TV. I'm Mike Pulaski, former 11-year pro and quarterbacks coach here at EliteAthletesTV.com. Many of you already know, some of you don't. I am also a college football analyst, so I get to watch college football every single week in the fall. I absolutely love it, and I spend time as a radio analyst for Cal. And so what I want to do is bring you some other commentators from around the country. I want to bring you some insights from guys that are around the teams, around the game all the time. But to start it off, going into the season, I want to break down teams in the Pac-12. We're going to start in the Pac-12 North. And as Cal's analyst, obviously I have the most insight with the University of California, Berkeley. So we're going to start right there in Cal. Before we get into this, I'm going to be doing reviews on Pac-12 schools, offense, defense, breaking it down so that you can understand it better at home. Make sure, if you love football content, you love X's and O's, that you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell. That way you get notified every time we have new stuff coming out and you can learn more about college football. Please give me a thumbs up if you're ready for Pac-12 football to start. I know I am. If you are, thumbs up down below. Love it. Leave me a comment. What do you want to hear about? What do you want to know about? Are there players in the Pac-12 that you want to see me break down? Let me know. Happy to do it. And please share this video out. We're trying to help Elite Athletes TV grow. We do a lot here to help young athletes improve in their sport. And the more athletes we can reach, the more athletes we can help with their game. So I'd appreciate you helping us by sharing it out. Now, let's take a look at Cal's defense. So last year, obviously, Cal had a big coming out season. Started off the season 4-0, got to number 15 in the AP Top 25. They were looking really good. They beat Davis, which was an okay game. They went up to Washington and had a huge victory on the road versus Washington in one of the weirdest games that I've ever called. There was a huge lightning delay, pouring down rain, but Cal's offense was good enough to finish and win, and Cal's defense was very good in that game. So that was a huge signature win for them. And they beat North Texas, which was an okay game. Then they go on to go down to Ole Miss and get a huge win on the road in the SEC against an Ole Miss team, which was okay. They weren't great. They played a scheme which allowed Cal's offense to really thrive. And that, to me, was the biggest game of the year. The reason for that is quarterback Chase Garbers had struggled a little bit the season prior, and he had struggled early on in the season, even versus North Texas and Davis. He had struggled, had some good drives versus Washington, but then versus Ole Miss, it was his coming out party. I did a video about Chase Garbers when I was reviewing Pac-12 returning quarterbacks, and so if you want to see that, I'll put that video card right up here. But Chase completely changed his game versus Ole Miss, got more confidence. He always had the tools. He always had the skills to play the position. But I think his reads, his confidence, his ability to read, react, and throw, to that point, he had not used his full potential. In that game, he finally hit a stride. Now, it wasn't perfect by any means, but he hit a stride where he was really coming on. So that was the huge game, the turnaround for Chase Garbers last year. That said, let's get into the season. Let's talk about what this Cal team is going to look like, and we're going to start on the defensive side of the ball. First of all, let's talk about the losses. Big loss, elephant in the room. Evan Weaver, no longer a California Golden Bear. He's down in the NFL now, down in Phoenix with the Cardinals, and he is going to be a huge spot to fill on that Cal defense. You always have a guy on defense who becomes that emotional, intimidating, kind of tough leader on the defensive side of the ball. You have to have that guy. During the course of the years that I was involved in Cal, we had David Ortega, who was a stud middle linebacker. We had guys like Joe Nelms on defense who were the studs who kind of led that defense. We had Jarrett Willard step into that role when I was a senior, who was a fantastic football player at that linebacker spot. But you've always got to have a guy who is the tough guy in the middle, who is a little bit of a dick, to be quite honest, with the rest of the guys on the team to set expectations on the defensive side of the ball. On offense, the offensive line sets the tone, the tempo for the team. But on defense, linebackers have to set that tempo. And Evan Weaver was that guy. He had attitude, he had toughness, he had moxie. And on top of that, he had good enough skill, but great instincts to play the position. He's a guy that I predict will be an 11-year NFL vet. He'll be the guy that they're always trying to replace with a faster player, but won't be able to because they won't be able to read, react, run, and have the instincts that Evan Weaver does. Time will tell on that, but that's the kind of player that Evan Weaver was. He's going to be a hard one to replace. On the defensive line, you lose Luke Beckett. Through no fault of Luke's, through no fault of Cal's, Luke Beckett transferred out this year to go to Boston College with everything that was going on with the pandemic. Luke had just gotten a 6 year of eligibility. He was coming back to play in his senior year at Cal, wanted to play at Cal, and then all of a sudden the Pac-12 shuts down football. So he went off to go play at Boston College. Luke, if you ever see this, love you. He's a Cal guy all the way. Always welcome back as far as I'm concerned. And balling, right, by the way, now at Boston College. So that's a huge hole for Cal to fill up front. So 2 big losses, middle of that defense that they're going to have to replace. Go straight back down the defense, and you have 2 more huge losses. Ashton Davis at that safety position was a guy that made a ton of plays out there. World-class speed, Pac-12 champion in the 100-meter hurdles, a guy who was a fantastic team guy, did everything you asked of him, always wanted to be part of the team, always wanted to be there running, was not a prima donna by any chance. He was just a team guy with fantastic skills, great ball skills, good awareness, good instincts, and a great team leader. So he's going to be a tough one to replace. Jalen Hawkins, another guy at that safety spot, incredibly tough to replace. So huge holes right down the middle of Cal's defense. And so those are going to be holes that they're going to have to replace coming up in 2020 for the shortened season. On the bright side, on the outside, let's start at the corner position. Cal is set. A lot of Cal fans got scared when Cam Bynum early on declared he was going to skip the season for the NFL draft. When it was up in the air, I can totally understand why he would do that. Cam is another guy who is a team guy, solid player. I used to call him the silent assassin during the season because he's not a talker. He's not a guy that chirps at you all game long. He's not a guy that gets in the fights. He just goes out and plays fantastic technique and gets in the right position and makes the play. That's what he does. Now, he had one off game this year versus Utah this last season, but everything other than that, he has been fantastic. Solid technique, great position, excellent skills, a good team leader, a great team player, and so he's a guy that Cal has to be happy to be getting back on defense. He solidifies that right corner spot for them. On the other side, you have Elijah Hicks, also a very good football player. Flashier, talks more, will get in some of those conversational battles out there, and he is a guy that brings some attitude to that defense as well. So at the corner spot this year, Cal is rock solid with their starters. Elijah Hicks, Cam Bynum, good to go, on film. That's a tough duo to match up against. They also have Chigozie Anuzium, who last year was just a young buck coming out, got some snaps, big player, incredibly athletic. He adds some depth at that spot. And so he's a guy that could be a corner or potentially move to a safety spot for them in that secondary. Remember, we talked about a couple holes in that safety spot in secondary for Cal. And so he's a guy that has the versatility to be able to move if they ask him to move. But he's got great skills. Coaches love him at that corner spot. And we'll have to see where it all settles out for where he's going to play this season. On the other side, Josh Drayden, who was a senior last year, but the coaches very smartly figured out a way to get him enough snaps to contribute to the team last season, but to still be able to redshirt. Josh Drayden, very smart, very good football player on that Cal defense. So as you look at it, the starting 4 across the board is solid. They're going to be okay in that defensive secondary. Linebacker spot, we talked about the loss of Evan Weaver. Well, I still think that linebacker spot is a real strength for Cal because they have a couple guys. One, Coin Dang, incredible athlete. Guy has great range, had 100-plus tackles last season, was a fantastic football player at that linebacker spot. What I would like to see as I watch Coin pick up his game this year, have to become that leader in the middle of the field, I want to see him instinctually improve his game. Is that a word? Instinctively? Instinctually? Anyway, I want to see his instincts improve. I want to see him take the proper first step on every play. I want to see him be at the right place the first time, right away, not be there late, not miss any assignments. If he can do that, if he can pick up his game, skills-wise, he's an NFL prospect. And so he's a guy that can make a lot of noise at that linebacker spot. Obviously, last year, he got a lot of praise for what he did at that linebacker spot. But this year, coming back, he needs to pick up that game, pick up his instincts, become more of an instinctive player. Right play, right read every time to be the guy that's going to be able to fill in for Evan Weaver. At the outside backer spot, you have Cam Good, the freak. This guy physically can just do so many things that other guys can't do. You have to use two different guys to replace him because of his physical tools. He can run like a safety, and he can play man up and rush like an outside backer. And so having that whole package together in one outside linebacker position is a huge asset. Obviously, Cam was coming off injury last year, made it through the season, and so I'd like to see his confidence raised this year. Come back. He's got good instincts, good ball skills, like I talked about. Physical tools are unquestionable. And so I'd like to see him come back and play full go. No hesitation, play full out, because I'd love to see physically what he can do at that spot. He can be a really special player. On the other side of the ball, Tevin Paul has been that tweener guy. He's been playing defensive end. He's been playing outside backer. They put him down sometimes. They play him up sometimes. But he was a super solid player 2 years ago. Last year, I came into the season with high expectations for him. I think he was still very solid. I would like to see him step up his game this season. I think he has the tools. I think he has the talent. And I think he has the ability to be a difference maker on that defensive front for Cal. And so I'd like to see Tevin Paul step up his game and become kind of maximize what he is as a player. Inside, Brett Johnson is going to be pretty special. He is an undersized nose guard in that position. He was young last year. I think he played at 270, but he's a former high school wrestler, and this guy is a mauler inside. He finds a way to set a base and to kind of gain leverage where he will literally just throw dudes on the field. The best way I can describe Brett Johnson inside that defensive line is that he's a mauler, just a gnarly football player that will mix it up, find leverage, tackle guys when he's out of position, arm tackle guys when he shouldn't. And so he's got some tools to be great inside that defensive line. Zionde Johnson also coming back. I think he was Defensive Player of the Game in the Red Box Bowl last year, coming back this year for his 6th year. And so that's a huge bonus as well. So that Cal D-line will be good up front. Let's see if some of the guys who contributed a little bit last year can contribute a lot more. Losing Beckett hurts, but they have potential to be better up front this year, or at least good enough with what they have behind them. So obviously Cal's a defensive team, defensive coach, defensive staff. They're a team that thrives on defense. They're going to have to get something done on defense this year without their biggest starters. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed what I did today, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that bell. That way you get notified every time we have new stuff coming out. Remember, we're going to be reviewing a lot of the Pac-12 teams coming up soon. Give me a thumbs up if you understand more about Cal's defense, what they got coming back, what they don't. If you're looking forward to college football, give me that thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Pac-12 upcoming season, Cal's defense. Any thoughts you've got, I'd love to hear them. And please share this video out. I'd love to reach as many fans, as many athletes as possible. And if you share this out, you'd really help us out. I appreciate you watching today. That is a Pac-12 preview of Cal's defense. I'll be bringing you more coming up soon because I am looking forward to the Pac-12 and college football.